Hello team players, I'm back with another Starfinder build, and today we're building a Solarion, so no subclass. Let's dive in. For our ancestry, we're going with the Brisk Wander Vesk, so more speed, and we'll have access to feats that are going to help this spell. For our attributes, strength is going to be our most important, followed by constitution. We're going to be wearing pretty heavy armor in this build, so dex isn't as important as you think it will be. We're also going to need charisma for those intimidation checks, but other than that, you really don't need anything else. For skills, we're going to need athletics for trips and grapples, intimidation, and piloting, as somebody needs to be the one to pilot the starship. Might as well be us. For our ancestry, we're going with command tactics, so it's easier for allies to follow the experts. They'll get a nice little bonus if they follow us. After all, somebody needs to be the leader, right? Again, might as well be us. For our class feats, we're going with Stellar Rush, so we can strike twice with a bonus to our speed. In addition, if we're in Gravitron mode, then enemies are pulled towards us. And if we're in Photon mode, then we create a field that conceals creatures. We're pretty much always going to want to be in Gravitron mode when we pull this. This is a melee build, so pulling enemies towards us, big deal. For level 2, we're going with Shattering Impact. So we make a strike with our solar weapon, and if we're in Gravitron mode, we lower the enemy's speed. If we're in Photon mode, we set them on fire. Both great options. Which one you use will depend on the situation. At level 3, we won't need Tanning Acumen yet, so we're going to take Toughness. More hit points, harder to die. Pretty basic. At level 4, we'll be taking Black Hole, so enemies take damage and are pulled towards us. In addition, might even make them off guard or even prone, depending on how they do on their saving throw. Yes, we do have a way to pull enemies towards us with Stellar Rush, but we're not always going to need to move. So, pulling enemies towards us and making them off guard or even prone, very, very good. At level 5, we're going to take advantage of that intimidation skill and take Menacing Snarl. So when we frighten a foe, that frightening condition is increased by 1. So they take even more of a penalty from the frightening condition. Very good. Another fantastic feat. Hey guys, Future Drew here. I totally forgot to record level 6. So we'll be taking Constellar Vortex, allowing us to manifest copies of our solar weapon, so we can do more damage in a vortex that is adjacent to us. If we're Gravitron attuned, then our weapon does more damage. If we're Photon attuned, then our weapon does extra fire damage. We can sustain this vortex for up to 1 minute, and all creatures adjacent to us take this damage. Pretty amazing feat here. At level 7, it's Die Hard because, yeah, hard to kill. Always a good feat to take. At level 8, we'll take Momentum, so we can either step 10 feet or we can create an image, an after image, that can flank with allies. Awesome mobility feat here. Always want to take this. At level 9, we'll take Opening Roar, so that we can use Intimidation for our initiative as long as we aren't actively trying to hide, which this build definitely doesn't want to hide. We're going to want to be in melee about 90% of the time. So using Intimidation for initiative, very, very good feat here. At level 10, we'll take Careful Strike, so we can deal our strength and damage even if we miss. Now we actually do have to use Careful Strike in order to get this failure effect, but this is a great thing to do when you just want to attack on your third action. But at least you'll do your strength and damage. Unfortunately, this doesn't work on a critical failure, but on a failure, yes. And this is especially going to be helpful when the enemy has a high AC. So definitely use this. At level 11, we will be taking Fleet for even more speed. So we'll have a pretty good speed by the time we're done with this. At level 12, we'll be taking Solar Wind. So when we're Photon attuned, we can move through the space of one unwilling creature. which of course makes it easier to get flanking positions and gives us a lot more mobility. Granted, it's only one unwilling creature, so you can't move through a line of unwilling creatures, but great mobility feat, highly recommend. For our level 13 Ancestry feat, we're going to be taking Advantageous Assault. So, frightened enemies take more damage from us. These Ancestry feats are one of the main reasons we want Intimidation in this belt. We want to frighten enemies so we can take advantage of these Ancestry feats. Granted, won't work on robots, and once you use this on someone, they're immune for 10 minutes. But still, Frightened is one of the best conditions of the game, and our Ancestor feats are just going to make that even better. At level 14 is Singularity. So for Gravis Attuned, we can create a black hole that damages enemies and creates darkness. Darkness that even creatures with dark vision or greater dark vision can't see through. And this darkness might even inflict the slowed condition, which is very, very good. This can stop enemies from moving entirely, so highly recommend. And level 15, we're going to be taking Canny Acumen because we're going to need higher fortitude saves. And we're already an expert at level 3, so this is why we're taking Canny Acumen here and not earlier. And that's the Solar Knight done. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel if you want more Starfinder builds like this. And leave me a comment, or just tear my build apart. There may be better feats that I'm not familiar with for this build. So definitely let me know that in the comments. And if you want to talk at this build or other builds, you can check out my Discord server. And of course, you can always check out this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.